What's up, guys? This is Tascione with Academy.fm, and today I'm going to be going over the lead to Movement by Herobust. Keep in mind, Herobust is very public that he doesn't use Serum. So again, there's a ton of ways to do this, but this is just one of the many ways that you can do it on Serum. All right, so I'm going to play the original, and then I'm going to play the lead after. Make 'em feel the crowd shake. All right, so that is the song, and this is the lead that we've made. All right, so I'm just going to briefly explain this patch, and then we're going to get into making it. So we have the pulse width modulation C64 wave. That's 3 octaves up. And we're using some FM synthesis here from oscillator B, and we're using basic shapes for oscillator B. So, we're using analog wavetables for both. I think these are actually the best wavetables in Serum because you can just do the most with them. And then we have a flange on the filter. And we're also using the noise oscillator too. So there's really not that much going on. And we have a few effects going on as well. And probably the most important one for this is this delay. So there's really not a ton going on here. But yeah, let's get into it. So I'm going to open up a new instance of Serum. And I'm just going to copy this MIDI down. So this MIDI is basically just the rhythm of these plucks. So that's pretty much what it's all about, is just getting this rhythm. There's no real notation here. What we're going to do, though, is we are going to add a pitch up. So I think that's what I want to do first, so we can sort of get in the groove and understand what notes we're going to be hitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this first LFO and I'm just going to curve it up. And I'm going to leave this trigger mode off because I want this to just happen. I don't want each note to re-trigger this. So we're going to set that to 2 bars. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the matrix. And we're going to take LFO 1 and we're going to route it to master tune. We're going to take that to 2. So now we should have... All right, so that's the movement that we want. So next I'm going to set up the wavetables. So we have analog, this pulse width modulation 64. And then for oscillator B, we have basic shapes. All right, so for oscillator A, we are going to take this wavetable position around here. We're going to take the wavetable position to around 1 o'clock. So we look like something like this. And we're going to bring the octave up by 3. And then for oscillator B, we're going to take the wavetable position. For oscillator B, we're going to take the wavetable position around 10 o'clock. And we're going to bring it up an octave. And we're actually going to turn this down because we're going to be using this for FM from B. So let's go ahead and do that now. We're going to turn on FM from B. So it's sounding really weak. We're going to add a slight modulation with LFO 1. And we're going to be done with LFO 1 right now. So for oscillator B, we're going to use the warp mode flip. We're just going to take this up to around here. And that's actually too much. Just want it here. All right, so that's looking good. Let's go ahead. We're going to set up our envelopes because we're going to be using all 3 of these. So this first envelope, I'm just going to make this really short decaying shape. So we're going to take the attack up to 7 milliseconds and the decay down to 264. And we're just going to curve this a little. And this is going to be going on the wavetable position. So we're just going to put it on the wavetable position, move it to around there. So that's giving us some movement there. So then for envelope 2, we're going to take the decay down to 35 and the sustain all the way down. And this is just going to go on the coarse pitch. And that's just giving us a nice pluck sound. So for envelope 1, we're going to take this to 7.6. We're going to take the decay down to 60, and we're going to take the release to 51, and the sustain all the way down. Actually, no, we're going to leave the sustain up. Actually, we're going to take the sustain down. We're going to take the hold up to around 60. And we're going to do a couple of cool modulations here. So we're going to take this velocity curve, and we're going to give it a little curve there, and we're going to put it on the decay. I'm going to hold Shift Option to make that bipolar from unipolar, and we're going to put this on the release as well. And what this is going to do is basically the velocity is going to determine how long the decay and release are. So let's go back into the MIDI real quick. You can see that some of these notes have more velocity than others. And the only thing that's going to affect in this instance is the decay and release, because we don't have it set to anything else. So normally the velocity would control the volume of a certain sound, but in this instance it's just going to be affecting the decay and the release. Alright, now you can see that we have a bunch of notes running into each other. So what I'm going to do is turn on mono and legato, and I'm just going to And I'm going to take this portamento up because I don't like the way this is going. So that's sounding a lot better right there. So that's all the modulation. The only last thing we're going to do is we're going to take this pan, or we're going to take LFO2 and we're going to put it on the pan. And we are going to like offset this shape. So we're going to make a point here. And this is the shape we're going to use for panning. Alright, so that is it for our modulations and our oscillators. What we're going to do now, we're going to actually add a noise oscillator, and we're going to use this glass lid 5. So we're going to turn this one-shot mode on so it doesn't repeat, and we're going to take the pitch up to 75. And we're actually not going to have this follow the pitch itself. It's just going to hit. So now that's giving us like a nice little like transient pluck there. So now we're going to go to the filter, we're going to go to flange, and we're going to go to flange minus, and this is going to add like a really cool sort of metallic texture. So let's take the cutoff down. We're going to take this cutoff down to like 220. We're going to take the resonance up too. Going to take the pan down to 43. And what this does is this creates an offset between the left and right. So it sort of adjusts the cutoff. So when it's at 50, both left and right are playing the same frequency cutoff, but as you move it in either direction, it adjusts the left from the right. Alright, then we're going to take this drive up to 31. And we're going to take the mix down to 80. And you can sort of play with this cutoff until you get like the exact sound that you want. But I'm going to leave it right there for now. That sounded pretty good. Alright, so now we're going to go to the effects. So the first thing we're going to add is hyper and dimension. And I'm just going to take this rate down. We're going to take the detune up. And I'm going to take this size down to around right here, and the dimension expander up to about halfway. And that's just giving us a much bigger like stereo image, and it's making the sound just be a little more exciting. So for the next plugin I'm going to add is distortion, and for this we're going to use diode 2. And I'm going to use this post-processing, and we're going to take this filter up to a high pass. And we're going to go ahead and take this Q down. Leave it around right there. I'm going to take the drive up past the halfway point, but I'm going to take this mix like down to around 33. So for our next effect, we're going to take the delay. And this is where we're going to get a really cool effect. This is going to give us like a nice crazy delay here. So I'm going to take it off BPM. And for left, I'm going to type in 11.14. And you can already hear it sounding kind of wacky now. Really good. So then the right is going to be 13. And what this does is this sort of like delays it even further. So we have this time delay, and now we can just, instead of delaying the time or extending the time, we can actually just push the signal back. So we're just going to push it back slightly. And this is just going to kind of make it wonky. So we're going to turn the feedback up as well. And I'm going to turn the mix down. And then let's go ahead. We're going to turn on the multiband. I'm going to turn this threshold down. So it's a lot more harsh. We're going to turn the ratio up. Tack down a little bit. And we're going to turn this gain up as we see. And I'm going to turn that mix down because that's like really loud. All right, and right now it's kind of sounding like it's a little too high pitched. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play around with this pitch. And basically that is essentially the timbre of the sound we want. And now we can go in and really like fine tune it. So I just dropped this down an octave, and I think it already sounds better. All right, and I think that's sounding pretty spot on. So there's multiple different ways to make this sound. It's essentially just a metallic pluck. And, you know, whether or not you think this sounds exactly like it or whether or not you want to recreate this sound exactly, this is sort of, you know, a good pathway to making a metallic pluck. So you can sort of take this general idea and expand on it and do whatever you want with it. So let's go listen back to the original. We'll see how close we got. And this was ours. So pretty close. You could sit there and tweak, you know, as much as you'd like or as much as you don't want to. And you'll sort of get the same type of result. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'm Tascione, and this is Academy.fm.